Hi there, Normie Gardner here. I just want to make a quick video that with some thoughts that have been on my mind for quite some time, ever since I started watching Jordan Peterson, and it really came to a head recently when I just saw an excellent video by Owen Benjamin. I'll link the video below, and you might say this is sort of a response to this video, but it's not really, because I'm not trying to be confrontational with Owen Benjamin. He's a great guy. He also offered some really heartfelt and much needed advice for young men, which I completely agree with, except for like 10% of it, which is what I want to talk about here. And it's not even his fault. This is something that Jordan Peterson seems to believe too, and a lot of people seem to believe, and it is this, that Owen begins his video by talking about how men are brave because the bravest men got to reproduce, and women want a brave man because they know that when they're pregnant, they need men to keep them alive. And now in the modern world, we don't need either of those things, and that's what's messed up about this. And that's what's messed up about the relationship between the sexes. Now, okay, this is like a thing that everyone believes these days, and it's basically a materialistic, totally physically based view of the human experience. Man's meaning comes from reproducing. Woman's meaning comes from reproducing. It all comes from genes. It all comes from hacking away. I'm not even blaming Owen Benjamin for believing this. It's just like something that everyone believes. It's what we learned in school. Here's the thing, though. I don't think it's true, and there's no proof that it's true. It's a philosophical belief. I want to stress this over and over again. Materialism is not scientific. It is philosophy. It's philosophy. It's not proved. You don't need to believe it. You choose to believe it. Or people have chosen to teach it to you, but you don't need to believe it. What he said about men and women there, if you really think about it, doesn't really hold true, okay? For the simple fact that men are brave even if they don't, they're brave in other cases when they're not trying to impress women. I've met men who are brave I've met men who are brave who are priests. They're just brave anyway. They're not trying to convince, not trying to reproduce their genes. Now, you might say, oh, it's built into us to be brave. That's a thing. That is a theory. It's not proof. It's not reality. You can believe that's true, but you don't need to. And I think that it's very reductionist and it's not true. And I see that view as a disfigurement of otherwise noble views. I mean, we don't know, like in the same video, Owen talks about good and evil and how, he is good. He's just speaking from his heart like a good guy, because he's a good guy. And good and evil have no, if all there is the physical universe, then good and evil are just relative terms that are used, that just spring from physical circumstances. In other words, they don't mean anything. They're just relative terms. Relative means like your flavor of ice cream, okay? I like vanilla best. I like chocolate the best. That is a subjective relative term. It is meaningless. It's just your personal preference. If morality is like that, then morality is meaningless. We think that it's meaningful, but it really isn't in reality. I don't believe that. And I don't believe that men are brave just because they want to reproduce. They're programmed to reproduce. And furthermore, I don't believe that women like a good man, a brave man, just because they want to reproduce. Now, there's certain aspects, especially I think for women, where where you feel like you need to reproduce, like you need. There might be a physical benefit of that, or it might be just that, say God has put a desire into your heart to have more children because humans are great and babies are great. I'm just giving that as another alternative theory. Either theory could be true. That's my point. You don't need to believe in one or the other. There's no physical proof of either. Okay? But I tell you one thing. It makes more sense in our hearts when we think about ourselves to think that we are worth more than just our sperm and our eggs. And we are worth more than just our genes. It makes sense intuitively. So there's this there's this view of the world, this materialist view, that educated people all believe, and they are under the impression that it is scientific. And they think that everything must be explained through swirling particles and atoms and genes in the case of biology. And nothing can go outside of that view. This view is not scientific. You don't need to believe in it. And if it doesn't make sense, you should reject it. You should think about what it really means. You don't need to be enslaved to this view. You don't need to twist your perceptions to fit this view. You don't need to say, okay, I'm only... Because honestly, the view doesn't make sense if you think about it, because it doesn't really feel that way. And yes, you can say, well, maybe it is that way, but if it goes against your feelings, and I don't mean just like your passing emotions, I mean your deeply held intuitions about your own self-worth. If it goes against that very deep feeling, then that's evidence that the view is not true. That's not proof it's not true, but it's evidence that's not true. So you should watch Owen's video, Mr. Owen Benjamin's video. I'll link to it in the description of this video. But just keep that in mind. If you're thinking about like these deep questions, you don't need to hold to the materialist view. You can choose to, but you are free to think about an alternative solution, whatever that may be. Don't be afraid. Try it. Try breaking free of this cage of atoms. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel.